Hi, welcome everyone to my Lunch and Loans with your loan officer, Natasha Robinson, MLS number 332074. Y'all, I am so fresh. I don't know anybody listening, and I know I'm kind of jumping right into it, but it is so warm outside. It feels like boat season is coming very, very fast. But it was definitely nice to be outside and feel a little springy. So hope you are enjoying the great weather. If you're in Chicago and if you're anywhere else, hopefully you guys have good weather as well. We had some very cold days last week, so to come with this temperature is quite amazing. But welcome to our Lunch and Loans. This is a higher level conversation for agents, for buyers as well. But today we are talking about overcoming buyer objections, right? And for all of you buyers that are tuning in and you're thinking all of these things, my message to you guys is always, 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 always get your advice from a real estate professional, because of a lot of the things that you say and a lot of the things that you believe in and you act on are not real things. It's just that someone who didn't know or who wasn't an expert said some things and they turned into little myths or objections. So we'll talk about that today. Once again, I'm Loans by Natasha on Instagram, Natasha Robinson on Facebook. I am your loan officer, and my website is loansbynatasha.com. So you can always find me there, and we're going to jump right into it. So why buyer objectives matter, right? The reason why buyer objectives matter, and we're going to call them objections, and I'm calling them objectives, but we're going to call them objections, but they're really myths, right? So they're really buyer myths. They're the objections of buyers of why they feel that they shouldn't buy today. And I'm going to call it a potential buyer, okay? This is a potential buyer who is hearing things out in the Facebook or social media world, friends and family, that is making them delay their purchases, which is making them delay their wealth, right? And many of them are hesitant. You may be hesitant because of market fears, because of what we hear on the news, because in certain communities, we don't have as many homeowners as others, right? So we have a lot of different situations, and we have financial concerns and expectations of the finance to acquire a home may be a little more than what you think. Maybe your credit should be a certain number before you can get a chance, right? Or maybe you should just be in a certain place in your life before you make that transition. Maybe you think you should be married first. Or maybe you think if you're married, you have to buy with your spouse and you both have to credit qualify. So many, so many, so many different things. But we are here to talk about that today, because if we talk about it more today, then we can utilize this information to help educate and inform our people. Because I don't know how many times I can say it, right? For all of our people who made it, we make good income. You know, you have good credit, you making 100,000+ a year. You are preferring to live in the South Loop or in your luxurious building with a doorman and the pool because we made it, right? We make enough money to pay that rent every single month, right? But what we're doing is we're building someone else's wealth, and we learn discipline, because discipline is, I'm going to go and buy a building with my money that I make in my 401k, because you that I'm talking to you right now, you are the person that should be buying, that doesn't need credit repair, that's ready to make a move right now, but you prefer to rent, right? Because it's easy. You don't have to think about it. But if you took the step and you bought a property, you only have to live in there for 1 year. You can easily come back and rent that property and then go rent. But guess what you're doing while you're renting? You're also building wealth at the same time. So these objections and these myths are going to be things that we're going to be able to talk about today to help you. And you guys can feel free. I do have my team member on the line. If you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the chat. And if for any reason we missed them, we'll definitely get back to you with no problem. Those of you tuning in late, I am Natasha Robinson, your loan officer, MLS number 332075. Guys, this is my very favorite objection. So there is a difference between an FHA and a conventional loan, right? They're two different loan products. Most people, and I'm not going to say most people, but some people think if you get an FHA, it's like a poor people loan, right? FHA loan limits are very high, lower down payment, and they allow sooner purchase power when you've had a bankruptcy or a foreclosure or medical collections or charge-offs. You know, it gives you a quicker chance to get back in the purchase world if you have glitches, but it also allows you to purchase a 1, 2, 3, or 4 unit property with 3.5% down. Where on a conventional loan, the myth, the objection is that everyone thinks that you got to put 20% down. How many people out there in this world think that if you are purchasing a loan and it is conventional, you have to put 20% down? Well, that is not true. So smack that hand, smack that myth, and I want you to do me one thing. I want you to call 3 friends and tell them I do not have to put 20% down on a conventional loan. And I want you to find the person who told you you did and tell them that they have the wrong information as well, because we want to get the right information out there to the world, okay? In addition to that, as a matter of fact, one of the best guideline changes in 2024, January of 2024, conventional said, let's make some changes. So just so you guys know, you can put 3% down on a conventional loan for a 1 unit property. Conventional 1 unit property, a condo, manufactured home, a single family home, right? You can put 3% down. Now I'm going through the math. So you can do 3% down on a 1 unit property conventional. FHA is 3.5. So you're saving 0.5% down on a conventional loan. But guess what else? On a 2 unit, 3 unit, and 4 unit property, if it's FHA, 3.5% down. If it's VA, 0% down, right? If it is conventional, 5% down on that 2, 3, or 4 unit. And let me just go back. So 5% down conventional, 2, 3, or 4 unit, 3% down on a 1 unit. FHA is 3.5%, 1, 2, 3, or 4 unit, and VA is 0%. I don't know if y'all listen today, guys, but that is huge, right? You do not have to put 20% down. If you do put 20% down and you have it to put 20% down, but do not wait 5 years to save 20% because you're going to pay probably 20% more for the property, which is going to wash out the 20% down when you could have just put 3% down and gained that equity over time instead of delaying your process, right? And I don't think that it's in my slide today, but the other thing I want to tell you guys, and we talked about it last night on my Mortgage Move Mondays, is stop thinking you got to have an 800 credit score to buy a house. We want you to have an 800 credit score, right? That will be absolutely amazing. But believe it or not, maybe 10 out of so many people actually do have 800. 720, 740, yes, you do want that if you can get it, but talk to your loan officer, right? Make sure that your credit score increase is going to change your mortgage payment. Once you get to that 700, 720 range, you know, you don't have to make it a perfect 800. You're still going to probably get the exact same interest rates in many situations, but of course, we'll discuss that on a one-on-one call to go over what's best for you, right? In addition to the VA and the FHA, we also have down payment assistance programs, which if you're getting down payment assistance is great, right? But we want to encourage you to still have some of your own money saved. If it's free, you should take 3, is what I say. But down payment assistance is not always free. So once again, you can go to loansbynatasha.com and you can always click the link for a one-on-one consultation, and we can advise you of what makes sense for you in that particular situation. Guys, this is my most favorite one. I want to wait until the rates go down. Child, I do not know if the rates are going to go down, right? You don't either. But you know what has been consistent for the past 5 years? Real estate has been going up, right? So I always tell my clients, if you can afford your mortgage, buy the house. At the very worst case, in 30 years, your house will be paid off and you'll have an asset that you can use for retirement, for your kids to go to college, for whatever it is that you desire, to pass down wealth to future family that may become, right? Generations after generations. But if you are paying my mortgage, right? I'm a landlord, I have tenants. So if you are renting from someone, you are paying their mortgage. And I say this every time I speak, and I'm never going to stop saying it. You get 0% back on paying rent. Okay. So if you buy the house with a higher interest rate, if rates really are going to go down, if that's really going to happen, you can refinance your home and get the lower rate. I just want to share with you guys that when the rates were 2.875, what I did for my marketing strategy, and I'm very good at it, I actually attended open houses. I would have over 50 people in line. I was the one making them sign in, put their booties on, go in, put their mask on, right, so they could see the properties. People were bidding $25,000 cash over listing price to win these offers. I don't think people really understand what that means. So if you want the interest rate to come down, the demand, in my opinion, for the housing is more. I had several people spend between 10 and 25,000 cash. They were putting offers on property saying, I'm willing to pay $25,000 over the appraised value to stay into this winning seat because I really want this property. I mean, you can pay $25,000 and buy down a rate today and get a lower rate, but I don't recommend that. What I'm saying is if rates were ever to go back down to 2.875, which I don't think they ever will, but if they do, you will definitely be in a different situation as it relates to the process. And when we'll be in a situation where you're saying, and like I said, nobody can predict the market. If I could, I would be a millionaire. But if rates do drop and you purchase in this market, you can always refinance and get a lower rate. So keep that in mind, right? Rates may go up. They're expected to come down a little bit, but that 2.875 and that 3% that you guys are looking for, I would be very careful about holding on for that. And I will tell you, I got into the market about 17 years ago. And rates were about 6.5, 17 years ago. And if you've gone to the grocery store and you check the price of lamb chops, milk, eggs, butter, everything has gone up. So I don't know why it is our expectation that interest rates will go down, because they are historically, they rise. And I know we came from higher rates and then things got lower. And I am no expert on the market, but I'm just telling you, let your buyers know they can refinance later. And when those rates drop, if they do back to 2%, there's going to be way less inventory as we struggle with inventory today. And renting is not an option if you can afford your mortgage payment. And don't think the first house that you buy has to be the dream house. You have to tell your clients that the first house don't have to be the dream house. It's called a Band-Aid. Get in, get out, move on to the next property, but you still were able to continue to buy with the low down payment and take advantage of what we call house hacking, which is a whole nother presentation we'll do on another day. I don't have 20% down. We kind of talked about that today. They don't need to have 20% down, but if you have 20% down and it works, sometimes using your 401k is better than taking a grant or getting a higher interest loan. So once again, Natasha's loans.com, loansbynatasha.com, I can basically go over what makes sense for you at the time. We can do lower down payments. We have all different situations. Let's talk about it and see what we can do to get you into that property. And if you're not ready today and you are renting, that is okay. Just as long as you've had a strategy session, like somebody asked me this morning, a good friend asked me this morning, what is your plan? A man with a plan is dangerous. So at the very little, if you have to rent because of a circumstance, let's have a strategy session with you and a plan to get you into your next steps. So that way you can take advantage of everything out here available to you. I heard the market will crash, right? Everybody says that, and it might. It might. I just saw a trend in DC that their housing market is down 132,000 a unit. I don't know if that's true, right? That's something that I read. We don't know if the market has crashed. I actually predicted the market would crash 3 years ago, and I sold 2 properties, and I probably lost a good $400,000 or $500,000 making that decision. Um, I finally accept my decision. It was hard for me, but I was one of those people that was thinking the market would crash. And the thing is with real estate, and this is just a opinion of Natasha Robinson, with real estate makes the world go round. And if you haven't noticed, when there is a crisis, flooding, FEMA, market crash, PPP, right? Like when, and I know PPP wasn't directly affected with the mortgage crisis, but loan modifications were. So whenever the market is doing whatever it's going to do, it's the government's best interest to make sure the world is okay. So when you have flood zones and you have disasters, all of a sudden the government has no money, but now they have all of this money. Real estate makes the world go round. So I don't think you can go wrong with real estate. My advice to you is to research your realtors. Everybody wants to use their uncle, cousin, friend because they do it. But you need somebody that does it for what you want to do. Do your research. It's so much free research out here with TikTok, but some of the stuff isn't real. So always make sure you're talking to a licensed professional, and make sure somebody tells you the same thing twice, but once again, a professional, because sometimes professionals could be off on their advice as well. And then just make sure you buy something you can afford, because at the very worst case scenario, regardless if you have equity or not, you still need a roof over your head. And in 30 years, it will be paid off if you're on a 30-year mortgage. So keep that is right in mind as well. And prices are going up, right? Like purchase price is ridiculous to me. I have this house by my house that I want to buy, and it's a couple of $100,000 over market. So I've been watching it, but I don't want to insult the seller, but it's like the ask on some of the properties are just, more than what I'm accustomed to. But you have to realize I bought my first house 20 something years ago. So I'm 2 decades back into looking at real estate today and later. But most important, buy the house that you can afford. If I can afford the house on my block and the mortgage makes sense for me, I'll probably still buy it, right? But buy what you can afford. Prices are stabilizing. The market is, in my opinion, getting a little consistent, right? And I think that now that there aren't so many bad loans, right? Like we really have to make sure you qualify. We really have to check your income and check your assets. So I think that these people that own homes can really afford them. So unless people have lost their jobs or lost a loved one, I think people are getting smarter and getting life insurance and things like that. So I just think we have so much more education now that I think that foreclosure situation, if the market crashes, still won't be as big as what people expect. So with that being said, definitely kind of keep that in mind. And then, as it relates to an agent, ask your clients, what makes you believe the crash is coming? Because somebody may be able to share something with you that you may have not even thought about. And it may give you a perspective that may make you look at things in a different light and really go get that research to answer the question. But I think the answer is going to be nobody knows. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, and only buy what you can afford, right? We don't know if you have a gambling habit. We don't know about any of your other debt that you may have out there, but you just want to make sure that you actually, prepare yourself to be able to give your client that great advice in the future. Got it. One more objective. I'll just rent for another year. This is the classic. So if you're working with clients and they're telling you, hey, I don't want to buy right now, it's just too much, it's just too overwhelming, I will rather just rent for another year. I just want you guys to know that there's 0% on interest on rent, which we talked about as well. Rent is going up as well. And you actually have to have a 660 credit score in most situations to rent and earn 3 times the amount of your rent. Where when you're purchasing a home, you only have to earn 2 times the amount of your rent. We can do things with your student loans and things like that to help offset some things. And the low credit score that you need is a 580. I recommend everybody that wants to be a homeowner in 2025 to aim for a 660. last night on my mortgage moves, I have free credit repair. So you can work with a credit expert, build your credit up, not because I can't get you pre-approved with the lower credit score, because I can, right? But God forbid, if something happens to you, if your furnace goes out, you need to go to Home Depot and get a credit. You don't make enough money, so you need a few dollars to get through a tenant that moved out. Credit will get you to the next level, and having low credit is very expensive. So if you have higher credit, you pay lower rates, and you have access to some 0% for 12 months, and things like that. So just keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? And every year you rent, you're losing 1 year in wealth, because in 30 years, your home will pay off. And we need to talk more and make it more normal. We need to normalize, dying and leaving wealth to people behind us. We need to normalize that. And what we do is we start with real estate, because real estate can be passed down from generation to generation. So if you know someone, that is renting, add up how much it's going to cost them. All of my middle class, beautiful souls that make six figures, and they like, we got to get out of the hood very fast, right? If you're paying $3,000 a month for rent, 36,000 times 10 years, you've paid $360,000 to someone else's mortgage, right? And once again, it is okay to rent, but go buy you some stuff. My little brother, love him to pieces. He's one of my best students. He purchased a 3-unit property. He wanted to rent downtown at Nema, and he purchased a building, got that building a couple of years ago. He lived in a building for almost over 2 years, and then he decided that he wanted to go live at Nema I love Nema, right? It's an amazing building. And he did live there. And it was just not enough space for the money. And he has dogs. So of course you have to follow others' rules. So he eventually went back to his building, right? And he also went back, and because he bought it 3 years or 4 years ago, he has over $200,000 in equity in his property. So once again, he was able to stand on business and own that property, but still go live his best life in rent. He just had a strategy. He had a plan. We can do that for you. Just schedule your appointment at loansbynatasha.com, and you can understand how to really utilize real estate to stack wealth. And you don't have to be down for a very long time. You only have to live in the property for a year, but you truly have to live in that property for a year. But you may like living in your property, because like he did, he would prefer to be his own landlord than to live there. And he does have a really good gym membership somewhere else, so he does still get those lavish things he needs, but he still lives in his own building. So long story short, renting for another year, if your credit is right and you make enough money, can cost you thousands of dollars and delay wealth that you can be building for your future generations behind you. Recap, be the trusted expert to rely on. You know what I'm saying? Do your research. Don't just go on TikTok, Instagram, my page, get you some www dots that you can sign on to what you're learning. Leverage, right? Leverage your lender partners. That is me, right? Leverage me for real estate. I am not just a loan officer. I am a mother. I am a friend. I am a serial entrepreneur. I love what I do every day. Sometimes because I love it, it can be a burden, and sometimes it can be a blessing, but I love helping individuals, and I want to help you, right? I want to help your clients, and I might not be the best lender for you. And I have a lot of lender friends, so I have no problem referring you, helping you get to the finish line. When I got into real estate, I had a lot of gatekeepers. It took me a long time to leverage my lender partnerships, and now I've spent a lot of time, so I know where I should go if I'm buying a 6-unit, or if I'm buying a mixed use, or if I'm buying a 1 to 4 unit, or if I need a commercial loan, right? I know where to go because I figured it out for myself, and I share that information with you and your clients for free. You want to turn objections into opportunities and close more deals. That is the key. We have abundance and abundance of individuals who have left the industry, right? Leaving more opportunities. So even though things are slowing down, we have a lot of less people doing real estate. So it kind of can be the same game, right? And schedule a strategy session with me to role play these objections to see how we can utilize what you've learned today and what's going on, and utilize answering the answers to the objections and the myths in your social media and contacts. So that way the clients can know that they can purchase a home with less than 20% down. That home ownership is possible, right? That is not as difficult as it may seem. So definitely keep that in mind as well. And that is what I have for you today. I didn't see any questions. I know I am streaming on a few different devices and I'm old school, y'all. So I'm learning about all of this technology, but definitely, let's stay connected. You can scan my QR code to stay connected. And if you have any topics you want me to discuss for Lunch and Loans in the future, email me, Natasha at loansbynatasha.com, and I would definitely add those topics to the presentation. And Emeka, if we don't have anything, that's all I have for today. Awesome. Well, you guys have a great day. Once again, I am your loan officer, Loans by Natasha, Natasha Robinson, MLS number 332074. I do mortgage loans 1 to 4 units. I specialize in renovation, FHA, VA, and conventional. And I have 100% doctor loans. We have so many options available for you. And for 2025, I am going live. So get ready to see me very often because I'm going to be dropping all these gems to you guys so that way you can use them to be dangerous. Have a great day.